we will talk a little bit more about these players, because our first player in the top left, I've just been informed his parents are watching. So thank you for bringing us such joy to our hearts by birthing such an incredibly talented human being. He is the Red Protoss player from North America, the hero we all need but none of us deserve. It is MCanning. And this guy.
And on the other side of the map, in the blue, representing Team Alpha X, he is, of course, Astrea.
Now, memes aside, Creighton, Astrea is a phenomenal StarCraft 2 player. If I were to guess him and Neeb, I haven't seen Astrea play a lot in the last few weeks or even the last couple of months, but I would certainly say there was a time period when he was in and just got back from Korea where he was on Neeb's level, or at least very, very close to it. Of course, it's hard to directly correlate between two players, but he's a very talented player, and I've always really liked him in PvP. But I have seen him lose to some crazy, crazy stuff. Who was the, I want to say, Chinese-American Protoss player that beat him in summer last year?
Josh, I couldn't tell you, Grant.
I'm trying to remember the games. There was Void Rays. It was a really wonky game, but I can't remember the player. It was someone who only won one series, and it was against Astrea in PvP. Anyway.
Oh gosh, I don't remember. I'm so sorry.
I don't either. I'm an old man. I can't remember these things. That's okay. So, standard openings here on Romanticide Creighton. MCanning, of course, going for his good luck, have fun Colossus spray, as he always does in his space. Mind games.
Always. Gotta be consistent with those sprays if you're going to use them aggressively. I love it. So Astrea is coming in here, as we said, up 2-0 right now. Unfortunately for Astrea, he's only played one PvP so far, so maybe not quite as prepped in the PvP sphere as our boy MCanning is. MCanning, of course, defeating Peely and Pure Legacy yesterday in our
losing to Peely
Group A. Losing to Peely yesterday, which gave him the 1-1 ranking. So we're already down one PvP here for MCanning. Fingers crossed he can take it back, but Astrea is going to be a very, very challenging opponent. Astrea opening up with a couple of Stalkers, followed up with a couple of Stalkers, Grant. 4-Stalker opening for Astrea. This gives him a very real chance to do a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, MCanning's also going for 4 Adepts, which is a little unusual here, but 4 Adepts don't win against 4 Stalkers, Creighton. If 4 Stalkers walk straight up into the front door, it's going to be very difficult for MCanning to fight them off. He's going up to 6 Stalkers. Okay, now we're getting a little bit funky here. It does look like the 2 Stalkers are sitting at home for now, and 4 Stalkers can defeat 2, I believe, as long as there's good target fire. But MCanning is making a whole bunch of Adepts with the Nexus behind it. We do see a proxy pylon going down. The scout, did he see it? Yeah, he saw it. It's a great scout.
He'll be in great shape. Good spot by MCanning there. Astrea trying to get, I think, a forward pylon and maybe a gateway down to increase the pressure just a little bit. But even if MCanning doesn't pick this pylon down, he knows where it is. So he's going to be able to have a bit of opportunity to make sure that he doesn't get surprise flanked by anything coming out from there.
Oh my god, this is so many Adepts, Creighton. This is a scary amount of Adepts. He's actually leaving the pylon. I think he's going to send 1 Adept back to it, and he's going to send the rest to Shade very aggressively here. Yeah, that is going to be... No, he's actually going to rally... Yeah, all of them at the other side of the map, and the natural here is very, very vulnerable. The good news is there's a good amount of force fields to stop the main. There's a probe patrolling to get the pylon, so I can't see this really doing a huge amount. Probe transfer just coming down, though, and now these Adepts are going to hit. The probes probably want to head straight back up into the main, if I were to guess, because this is a pretty committed attack, and I think the sentries will be targeted down. They get one shot here, Creighton.
Yeah, this is nice focus fire by MCanning, grabbing all those sentries. Obviously, a huge gaseous investment from Astrea. He's going to lose all of those right away, and the Guardian Shield not able to protect him. So we are going to see the Adepts getting back out of there. I like the fact that he retreated there. Very, very smart. A great trade. 3 Adepts for 3 sentries and a probe, and of course, keeping Astrea back home on 2 bases. Astrea, unfortunately for MCanning, though, does have the Robo finished up quite a bit earlier, so he's going to be able to get that Warp Prism out and get some aggression on the other side of the map slightly earlier than MCanning wants.
Yeah, MCanning went back in to go for a couple of workers here, and it didn't end up paying off. He mistargeted for a little bit and does end up losing a few more units. So the trade that started off good does end up going slightly more favored here towards Astrea in terms of minerals, but the gas income or the gas destructionating here by MCanning is going to be very, very good. And killing a lot of sentries means less scouting. More workers still going down now. Now we're getting a little bit Sloppy, I think. 5 workers for 8 adepts, 3 sentries. It's pretty close. I do think probably Astrea isn't too unhappy. MCanning as well, though, won't be thinking, oh no, game over. He's already getting Immortals out. He will have the first Immortal. He doesn't have any Stalkers particularly yet, but he has a lot of Force Fields. He has Battery Overcharge, and it looks like Astrea is going to go for a big attack here. And I think as long as the Immortals stay safe and there's another warping of Stalkers soon, it shouldn't be too bad here for MCanning. He's up a lot of workers.
It's going to be really close. He is up a fair few workers here. It looks like Astrea is setting up for a 3rd base, though. MCanning sticking on 2 for just a little while longer. So I like the fact that Astrea is probably just going to pressure at the front a little bit, drop that 3rd base down, and hope to macro his way out of this. I think if it goes to the late game, Astrea is objectively a stronger late game player than MCanning is. Not that MCanning is weak. I think Astrea just has a couple more series, a couple more reps against a couple more serious players. So Astrea definitely pushing for the long game. We should see that 4th base, or 3rd base rather, for Astrea coming down right now. And he's got the Robo Bay on the way for Disruptor production to begin. And if you get ahead of your opponent in Disruptor production on a PvP, you're going to have a great time.
Yeah, Astrea as well managed to get 2 adepts up into the main. They have killed a lot of workers here, and it wasn't a particularly committed attack. So that lead that we were talking about MCanning having has kind of fallen away. He still has a decent army. He's going to be able to get his own 3rd down, actually slightly quicker than Astrea. Astrea had the money, but concentrated instead on technology off of the back of his drop here. Observer going down. That's nice for MCanning to make sure he can stay relatively unscouted. We do have the Prism loading up with 2 more adepts over on the east here. There are 4 Stalkers in position, and they're looking a mighty red and ready to deal with any push that is coming into the main. Astrea is still up in workers. MCanning slightly more army supply. Upgrades, though, they are favoring MCanning quite heavily.
Really favoring MCanning quite heavily. That's one of the things that Astrea had sacrificed in order to get the little pressure he needed in the Warp Prism out faster, is that he did not have that forge very early at all. In fact, he delayed his forge, he delayed his 3rd base even further because he did not have his forge down yet. He wanted to get that down very quickly after he scouted it with the adepts. So as you said, MCanning going to have +1 as of now. He is a whole entire upgrade cycle ahead of Astrea right now, and he starts his +2 right away. Good boy, MCanning, staying disciplined and staying dedicated.
Yeah, he's he knows what he needs to do here. We are going to see Archons producing pretty soon from MCanning, and he's not mining a huge amount of gas, but as soon as he takes his 4th gas, that will increase. He is only sitting on 3 for now. We do have a push coming up towards the north here. MCanning does Scouter, Disruptor coming, but I mean, they say you can't cheese a cheeser. You can't disrupt a disruptor, right?
Oh, I think yes, you probably can there. Gets a nice shot off. I was a little worried that Disruptor. I thought that MCanning may have been able to jump on top of it, but of course, with no Blink Stalkers available and no Blink at all, in fact, Disruptor going to have a slightly better time than it normally would. Normally, I'd criticize Astrea for letting that Disruptor stray a little bit too much, but I think he's safe now. Behind us, though, look at Astrea. Extended Thermal Lance, Colossus on the way, Blink, and +1. So he's going to have all the tools in his bag he needs, and MCanning is hoping that his Dark Shrine is going to help him come back in the game, where he is, I think, slightly behind now. Astrea at 67 workers, the 58 of MCanning.
I can't believe you just missed an opportunity to say that he let his Disruptor Astrea too far forward instead of just Stray.
Nice.
Like, I'm really upset that you didn't go for that one, honestly.
I am too now, Grant.
4th base going to be taken here, but actually MCanning is in a decent position to siege this and probably get the cancel. Does look like for now he's going to move up to the middle. This may give away his army positioning, as there is an observer just hovering to his north. But MCanning's not got an army to scoff at. His +2 is only 10 or so seconds away. He doesn't seem to have an observer with this. If he does have an observer, excuse me. He has one of those squids with this army. So he will know that he has been scouted. Going to hallucinate a bunch of Archons, but they are unfortunately immediately being seen here. Very nice scout from Astrea.
Yeah, very good placement of that observer. Of course, it will get roasted very quickly, but I don't think Astrea is going to be too surprised by this attack. Setting up a couple gateways to try and block off that front bit, but he's going to be A-okay. As MCanning grabs the 4th base, Astrea's 4th base is actually in a slightly safer location down at the 6 o'clock. And we're going to see MCanning trying to figure out where he really wants to attack right now. He's got a good that probe.
It must feel invincible. Like, oh my god, look at all this stuff I can tank, and then he just dies. Good attack coming here from MCanning, and he's actually managed to buy a lot of focus by sending his Zealots onto the Disruptor. The Disruptor will live, but he forces a cancel on the base. I think Astrea maybe a little bit of misfocus there. Killing a few Zealots was not worth the cancel on his base, and as long as MCanning doesn't overextend here, and a few force fields are a great way to start this fight. A lot of the army separated, the Colossus not fighting. That was decent for MCanning, certainly, because his 4th is now 80-90% done, even 95% done. His army is getting strong. He's getting his 2nd Robo on the way, so he can start probably Disruptor production, because I think going Colossus at this point would be a little sketchy. Does he have a robotics bay? Oh my gosh, he doesn't. He must be going double immortals then.
Yeah, a lot of Immortals out, which is really interesting, especially considering that there are Colossi on the field for Astrea right now.
Oh my God, the DTs
in the base for MCanning. They've gotten 3 kills so far, but the Observer getting caught out of the warp, the Robo. It's going to get finished up pretty quickly, and those DTs will go down, but you'll see at the bottom of the screen there, MCanning again forces a cancel on the 6 o'clock base for the 2nd time, and that's a really big win for MCanning now. The first time I thought it might have been a bit of an overextension. He definitely lost a little bit more than he needed to, but now that he's gotten it a 2nd time, that's going to help him establish economic hegemony now, Grant, and the income advantage graph swings in his favor once again.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, actually. Those DTs at this point shouldn't have found that kind of damage, so that's very impressive. MCanning now adding on his Robo Bay. I think it was a mistake that he forgot it. I can't say for certain, but it certainly seems like a mistake to go 2nd Robo before Robo Bay if you are planning to use those Robos for Robo Bay units. That was hard to say. +3 getting very close to completing though. There will be a window here where it's +3 against +2. I'm talking like 5-6 seconds. But we've seen games in this tournament even decided in windows like that, especially over in Europe. So there is that possibility. Oh gosh, DTs. That's a lot of dead DTs actually. Okay, they do manage to escape somehow. This Stalker though seems to be the sacrificial lamb. There is a Colossus maybe too far forward here. Not going to end up being punished either. I do think MCanning probably needs to start retreating. He needs to wait for his disruptors. I don't think he wants to take this fight.
No, he definitely doesn't, Grant. Astrea's got too many tools in his bag.
Maybe
here. He's
even
a very efficient fight that's going to chase MCanning away, but with Blink in his bag, and Astrea has plenty of Blink Stalkers out, he's able to get a lot done on the retreat. He's going to get a lot of Parthian shots off, and MCanning's going to re-engage that fight, Grant, but unfortunately, he's got to be forced to recall to defend against everything that's coming here. That's a rough start for MCanning, who loses a lot more than he needed to. Luckily, he's right in the path of those DTs that will be chased away now from the 3rd base.
Yeah, he needs to be in position like quite quickly to defend this forward base that is now going to be jumped upon, and he knows it as well, being in the position he is. Where is he most vulnerable? It would be for a straight up frontal assault. He sees the army moving now and will be able to reposition. In terms of disruptors, he does have 4 to just the 2 here of Astrea. Of course, Astrea has those Colossus, those tetrapods ready to offer a lot of damage in the back, and they need to be dealt with quite quickly, either by Blink Stalkers or good disruptor hits. But the disruptor count is now getting very, very high. Disruptor needs to dodge the disruptor, does manage to do so. Forward. Oh my god, that's big damage on this Colossus already, Creighton.
Yeah, really nice initial disruptor shot there for MCanning, taking out a fair few Stalkers and the Colossus, and of course the Warp Prism is slightly out of position. In fact, no Warp Prism at all for Astrea right now. So I really like this engagement for MCanning, but good force field should drive him back here. A second disruptor shot will grab a Colossus here, and MCanning finding some very, very nice damage initially with those 2 disruptor shots.
Yeah, he still has +3 to only +2, so his straight-up army is stronger, despite the fact he has a army supply deficit. It's slight enough that he has got the stronger army. In terms of value, we can see he is behind in minerals, but a slightly gassier army because he does have all these disruptors and archons, and he doesn't have a lot of zealots. Meanwhile, we can see no zealots either side, very few zealots either side, which is slightly unusual, mainly stalker-based compositions, but no archons at all for Astrea. Unusual in this kind of composition to not have any, especially look at Astrea's gas, Creighton. Very, very high. And he's not max, so I'm kind of surprised to see he's going to be going for 2 more Robos, going up to a total of 4.
Wow, 4 Robo is serious business, Grant. I think he realizes that MCanning is, of course, going for this very heavy disruptor play. And when you're playing a PvP, the number of disruptors is really strange. There are sort of these benchmarks you kind of have to hit. Right. You know, 1 or 2 disruptors is good. But if you're... Oh my god, that poor disruptor.
That died so fast.
That's great. Fun fact, did you see the little smiley face that was left over by the side of the disruptor panel when it fell on the ground?
No.
One of the disruptor panels falls in a specific way. Looks like a little smiley face. That's kind of cool.
Ooh, might be able to get a cancel here.
Yeah, he probably should. And that's bad news again for Astrea. The real fight, though, going down at the 7 o'clock right now. Those 2 armies sort of getting in the way. Disruptor shots going off. Anyway, Astrea's got to find a way to make sure that his disruptor count gets up to about the same as MCanning's, because right now his disruptor count is only at about 4 or 5, and that's simply not enough to continually zone out your opponent.
This is another base that Astrea's been able to take that his opponent has not been able to match. As we can see, Astrea has got this base now over about the, I don't know, 7:45 on the clock. And that is now completed. He's got a couple of cannons. He's got a battery there to keep that relatively safe. He's doing a good job. And I love these little strike forces up to the north that he's got as well. Just dealing with the fact that we can also see, look at this. This is ridiculous. Oh, no. Okay, not anymore. It's not.
Oh, there's the blink, and those DTs getting the upper hand. That was some sort of Jedi
DT
mind trick
fight.
nonsense there. That was glorious. Here we go, Blink Stalkers against Blink Stalkers from MCanning now. Both players getting their upgrades, or pardon me, getting their Stalker upgrades fairly even. But look at the overall upgrades, Grant. MCanning still at +3 at that +1 shield, with +2 shields already on the way for MCanning.
Yeah. His upgrades this game have been superb. I don't think there's any other way to put it. He's been really on top of them from the beginning. He does need to probably head to a battery to charge up some of his Archons once again, get them nice and ripe and juicy for the next fight. As you can see, an Archon with this amount of shields is basically a 1 HP Archon. Or a 10 HP Archon. Counterattacks with DTs and things, keeping an eye. One Stalker Hiccup walked in here just to deal with the Observer. And that's one thing that can't be, that you cannot let go. Only having one Observer is terrifying. Because all it takes is one counterattack and you're in so much trouble. Now we have kind of a base race starting to come up here. MCanning either has to recall, which he has the energy and the cooldown for, or match. It looks like he's going to go for match here. He does have that one extra base already completed and mined from a little bit, so he can afford to lose it. But as long as they both only lose this one base, so to speak, it doesn't end up being too bad for anyone. Right now, though, the supply is very much in favor of MCanning.
Astrea just lost four of his disruptors on the other side of the map. I imagine a big disruptor shot or some DTs taking it off. That's a big win. Of course, he has plenty of disruptors. Of course, he has plenty of disruptors able to be in production because he's got those 4 robos going down, but unfortunately, he doesn't have any army back home, and MCanning has established a really strong beachhead outside of Astrea's natural. Astrea has to flinch and bring all of his army back home to try to deal with this pressure at his natural.
MCanning has just picked up a decent lead. He's defended the counterattack at the north side with some warpins. He's starting to win the fights in the middle of the map. He's also on 4, but he has control of the map. Astrea wants to try and take this base. That ain't happening. And all it takes is a big blink forward on top of these Colossus or a disruptor hit or two to absolutely turn this game. And those disruptor hits are so big, Creighton.
Very nice shots there by MCanning, and also a bit of army mismanagement from Astrea, blinking aggressively forward, can't retreat back through his own Sim City, and Astrea finds himself now between a rocket and MCanning place, Grant, as DTs continually take down his bases over and over and over again. Really nice multi-pronged aggression here from MCanning, who won't actually get the kill on this 5th base, but it's going to come dang. Oh my god, he gets the kill at the last second. Unbelievable by MCanning here.
He's just built different, Creighton. And now we see MCanning starting to send off some purification overs into the Stalker forces. The Sim City making it a little bit tricky, but his army is strong. He has DTs with this army as well. Is there an Observer here, Creighton? The DTs are shredding through these workers, and they're now trying to jump on top of this army. There's no Observer, which means there's no way to deal with these. The DTs are on top of the Disruptors. Finally, a cannon, meaning it will push back. MCanning goes up to 6 bases, and our Blue Protoss player is being just 4. MCanning has just picked up another big fight.
Yeah, very nice. He's even depowered 2 of those robos, which Astrea has for some odd reason built at his 5th base. Grant, I don't know why professional players continue to build infrastructure outside of their main bases. It always is a huge mistake. And he's going to lose both of those robos that had 2 disruptors that were about 3/4 of the way done. And oh god, Astrea not paying attention. Grant, if there's anything Astrea could do to come back in this game, there's plenty he could do to come back in this game. But losing focus so easily is not going to be helpful. I still take that trade from MCanning every day of the week.
Yeah, he killed so many DTs in the end. If he hadn't have paid attention and got that last shot, it would have been awful. MCanning is down in army right now, but he's up in upgrades. He's up in workers by 10 at a very nice number. And as long as he continues to produce army units, how many gates are both players on? 9 for MCanning, 8 for Astrea. And this is a proper good PvP creator, not just for NA, but for any region in the world.
Yeah, this is fabulous. Really back and forth here. Both players sort of adjusting their strategies as best they can. And great multi-pronged pressure from MCanning so far. If there's one standout so far from his play, it's that he's been able to balance his army exceptionally well, sending little strike forces that are not big enough to diminish the power of his army, but still large enough to cause surgical damage at specific places here. Now, Astrea is even up on bases, actually. It's 5 bases to 5 now. And the income's going to even out just a little bit, meaning that MCanning is still not out of the woods here. This game's still anybody's to take, especially with disruptors in the field.
Yeah, the good news right now is that MCanning has 5 bases that are fully mining. Astrea does not yet have those bases mining. He's still building them. A lot of DT is going to get in. They're going to be able to devastate this base and do some decent damage. We also have a big push up here on the north side. Disruptors hitting Disruptors, though. MCanning gets the better of the trade in the center, but he is in his main base going to be in a lot of trouble. He's losing almost all of his infrastructure. He's trying to make an observer and get a few of his own DTs to fight back, but he needs to now take a win elsewhere on the map because Astrea is doing very good damage to the infrastructure. In fact, he is absolutely destroying the infrastructure right now.
Yeah, this is really, really good move from Astrea. One of those counter punches that's so difficult to deal with. As we said earlier, DTs are very dangerous. And Grant, these are not just DTs, these are +3 DTs, meaning their damage is unbelievably strong. And that's right. We see back in the main base of MCanning, these DTs finally getting cleaned up. He's trying for the Archon Warp and Recall maneuver. Very, very cute. But you can see, of course, the Templar Archives has been taken down, which means no more Archons for MCanning. He's going to be struggling to remax just on Stalkers and Disruptors. It's an okay composition, but a couple Archons mixed in, always useful.
Yeah, they're nice, but when there's this many Disruptors, Archons are kind of bulky. They force your own units to move in slightly weird ways. And at this point in the game, it is mainly Zealots, Blink DTs, Disruptors, Stalkers. That is a composition until one of you flinches and tries to go for Stargate, and then you die. So MCanning still has some DTs out on the map. He's not been quite as efficient, I would say, as Astrea with these DTs, but much more efficient with the Disruptor Stalker compositions. We do see another fight coming in here. This is going to be a nice pickup if you can catch a load of these Zealots. Doesn't seem like it. The Blink DTs as well. Very, very frustrating to deal with. A lot of dead workers trying to move down to this base, which once again, Cretan is going to end up cancelled.
Yeah, for the 3rd time this game here, MCanning gets the cancel on that bottom 12 o'clock base, and that's so annoying. Astrea was hoping to go even on bases with MCanning. Instead, now he's going to find himself 2 bases behind. And MCanning, look at that, he tries to build a 3 o'clock base. It killed off immediately. Rough start here. Luckily, the Disruptors are here, but the Blink Stalkers should be just fine. MCanning gets a base, or pardon me, 2 bases for the cost of absolutely nothing.
Yeah, there's no Observer with this army either, so the DT's right now swiping away at these Zealots. An Observer should be on the way, I'm sure. Yeah, here he comes. That means these DTs will end up going down, but 11 worker kills once again. And MCanning has had an economic advantage for a bloody long time. And you can see it in the supply right now. Now, a lot of that supply is workers, but he still has a hefty army. He still has the upgrade lead with the +1 shields to the of MCanning's, and as long as he doesn't take any damage up in this space, and look, he's keeping army behind very responsibly. It makes it look like his army in the middle is relatively even, but I mean, there's a lot of probes here that could end up going down, Creighton.
Yeah, very dangerous position right now on the top of the ramp outside that potential 4th base for those players on Romanticide. This map is really, really well designed, Grant, and it's very difficult to take those extra expansions. You really have to be confident in your play, and with the compositions these players have, it's difficult to defend in multiple positions at the same time. He's rebuilding his Templar Archives. Obviously, he still has Dark Templar, so he can still make Archons. I don't know what I was talking about earlier, Grant. But the Disruptors from MCanning need to come out and join the rest of his forces.
Yeah, oh dear, needs to keep dodging these Disruptor hits and doing a good job of just that. We do have a push coming up through the middle as well. There is a Disruptor sitting on the high ground as long as it sees this on time. And it will fire off that Purification Nova! That's a late blink, Astrea!
Good win by MCanning there. I'd love to see how many kills have been made by Disruptors overall this game. These Stalkers have expended their blink. They're going to have to try and get away with it. Caught by the army on the flippity flop. Unfortunately, MCanning moves his own Stalkers forward and will get hit with a counter Disruptor shot of Astrea's. MCanning still significantly ahead, though. That was a bit of a rough patch for Astrea, and he has shown over the course of the game, Grant, he's really struggling to keep his army controlled in multiple locations. MCanning's been able to pressure on multiple bases. Astrea has been unable to return the favor.
Yeah, a couple of good DT run-bys have kept Astrea in the game, for sure, but defensively, MCanning has been fantastic, certainly. These Disruptors just permanently finding the hits that they need to, and I mean, we talk about MCanning's Disruptors a lot. We meme about MCanning a lot, because not only is he a friend of the stream, but also just an incredibly awesome dude to hang around with. And he's... don't fucking jinx it. And he's playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, this is an exceptional game from MCanning, who again, guys, is sitting at 1-1 in Group A right now. Astrea currently undefeated at 2-0. In fact, unless I'm mistaken, Astrea has not yet dropped a map here in Group A, sitting at 2-0, 4-0. This is the first time that Astrea's tournament life is in danger of being blemished just a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean the supplies right now. I wish MCanning could see what we see, because you see the supply and you must be like, oh bloody hell, I'm doing pretty good. But MCanning is now getting +3 shields. It's 1/3 of the way, maybe slightly further ahead, done, and that's a big upgrade as well to make his Stalkers, his Zealots, a little bit tankier. Disruptors can't hit themselves with those shots, so keeping them in the front here, not too bad. Stalkers do need to kite back, wait for more Zealots to get in. Nice blink back there to get the Zealots into the front of the fight, and MCanning Astrea again.
Yeah, very nice trades there for Astrea, actually. MCanning with a slightly out of position army, but Astrea needs more than just slightly good trades right now, Grant. Look at the overall supply, 190 to 138, and MCanning building up a significant bank as well. He's got 6 bases down, and yes, as you said, that army value way in favor of MCanning.
He's also keeping observers in every base, just so he can be ready, just so we can see what's coming his way. Few Zealots going down at this point. It's not great, but it's not as bad as if this was the early game. You know, you can lose Zealots at this point in the game. They are relatively cheap when you're mining as much as MCanning is. He's currently mining 2,200 minerals for 22 Zealots a minute, so he can throw away 2 or 3 every now and then. Now we do see another push forward. Stalker's blinking forward a little bit early. There's no disruptors with this force, Creighton. There's no disruptors here at all for Astrea, and I think MCanning's just going to go.
This is what we've said time and again in this game. MCanning really doing a lot better than Astrea is at controlling where his army is and the proportion of his army that is in specific places. He knows that Astrea is not in position right now, so he's not afraid to move. He's not afraid to move his army into a significantly advantageous position and try and clean this out. Now, he forgot his observer, so he's going to get chased away by some of these DTs. Bit of a mistake from MCanning there, but Astrea is down at 30 army supply, Grant. There's simply nothing left for him here.
Some nice follow-up shots as well from these disruptors, just constantly chasing away the army, constantly forcing bad positions here from Astrea. 150 to 60 supply, and just like that, MCanning, the underdog, takes map 1 against Astrea in a bloody brilliant 27 minutes PvP. It's just going to be moments now, I am afraid, if you're an Astrea fan, until we see the end of this game.
Yeah, MCanning in a beautiful position, clears out the 3 o'clock base and heads down south. I like that Astrea is still fighting. He's doing his best to stay in this, but if you look at the unit counting station, Grant, there's simply not much left. There's the GG, and MCanning upsets Astrea to get a first win on the board here in this best of 3, Grant.
Now it's a best of 3. We shouldn't get too excited. I know MCanning is our Lord and Savior. God bless the can. But it's a best of 3, and Astrea is a bloody brilliant player. So we've still got a long way to go. I'm not sure whose map pick that was, but that was amazing. I really enjoyed that.
Very long, very satisfying game, Grant, to see both of those players with very high skill cap disruptor shots, nice army composition changes. I mean, think about the 15-minute mark of that game. We saw Astrea on 3 Colossi, and he was almost going for like a Colossus gateway build for a while there. Yeah. And very nice transitions from both sides. MCanning comes back. Astrea tries to build more robos to get him down. MCanning takes him back. I mean, genuinely, Grant, fabulous rotations by both players here. Not that Astrea looked bad, but MCanning just looked fantastic there in that game.
I'm going back and reading chat. Best player in NA, Astrea isn't even the best player in this game. Ouch. I'm sorry, Astrea. I really like Astrea. He's such a nice guy. Another player that I've met in person, but and was great. But there's very few people in the world, especially in StarCraft, like, and in these days, that have this pure star power, like mainstream star power. Back in the day, we had, Idra, we had Huck, we had all of these people who just were full of, I don't know, attitude and storylines and even people like, of course, In Control, TLO back in the day, Rhett, all of the guys from like the old TLEG days, they just had something special about them. And MCanning is better than all of them combined. So, very fun game there, definitely.
Are you suggesting that MCanning is a better entertainer than anyone else in StarCraft right now?
Nah, not you, Creighton. Not you.
No, not even me. Just I think there are plenty of players like MCanning that have exciting star power and a chance.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting carried away with the Twitch chat memes. I probably am.
I think you definitely are, Grant. MCanning's a great player and a lot of fun, and his streams are entertaining, don't get me wrong, but he's, if anything, a Tier 2 American Protoss player, and he's been unable to break out of that bubble for the last 4 years. He hasn't consistently performed in an impressive manner against really any significant players, and hasn't posted any significant tournament results in ages. Again, I love the guy, but I think you're overhyping him just a tad, Grant. You got to remember that was an upset, like it's unexpected there. Astrea almost certainly, just overall, a better player than MCanning is in almost every aspect of the game.
Yeah, maybe. I think also I'm going to mess around and meme a lot because he is someone who, throughout the DreamHack series, has cast on this very channel. So he's kind of the guy for us, you know. On this channel, we've had me, you, we've had Steadfast, but he's the only like pro gamer that's come and hung out and joined us. You know, he didn't have to, but he did, and maybe I'm just getting a little bit of American pride that I didn't previously have.
I hope Pengy's in chat and realizes that you've forgotten about him.
Yeah, shit. Fuck him. He's my best mate. I can say these things. So,
oh, goodness.
We'll be getting into game 2 shortly. Astrea just needing a moment there to just to recoup. We will be going on to 2,000 atmospheres. Another pretty decent map. Another pretty decently sized map. I don't expect any massive shenanigans. Although MCanning, if you're up a game, maybe you look for a proxy Stargate. Maybe you look for a proxy Robo or a proxy Gate. It's one of those times when you can take a risk.
Yeah, winning game 1 puts you in a really strong position to have a little more fun with it, you know? If you do want to go for a proxy or something, it's not the biggest deal if you lose because, of course, you've got another life that you picked up that green mushroom in game number 1. So fingers crossed MCanning could try something exciting here. Again, I think if the game goes to the late game, he's shown that he can definitely keep up with Astrea. Astrea seems a little off his game there and was unable to defend against the pressure. So maybe MCanning feels like he can take it to the late game and still do fairly well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, late game PvP, specifically in North America, is Stalker, Disruptor, Blink DT. And MCanning just showed he's got a very, very good grasp of that build. For now, though, the only thing that matters is this one map and how it pans out. And our player in the top right, he is teamless, representing himself, the red Protoss player, even from North America. It is MCanning.
And his opponent down to the bottom left-hand side in the blue, representing Alpha X, currently undefeated in Group A for match score. MCanning handing him his first loss of the tournament. It is Astrea.
Okay. So, it looks like we're going to have some standard openings once again. MCanning is going to move out with his first probe after gateway scouting. Maybe to go for a very quick scout, or also there is a possibility that this heads for some shenanigans, as I like to say. It does look like it's heading in a scouting direction for now, but we're going to keep an eye on this bad boy and see what he is doing. Astrea not scouting just yet. He is going to gas scout. He's going to check for any proxies in his natural, cannons, etc. And then, okay, he's just scouting for proxies and coming back in. MCanning now coming in for a scout. It is, as expected, all very, very normal.
Which is a nice way to open here. Yeah. We had sort of suggested that maybe MCanning could go for something a little fun, and that's not out of the question yet. Of course, you could always drop a pylon in the middle of the map, proxy a Stargate or something. But I don't know. After seeing that last game, MCanning got to feel really good. Beating Astrea in a late game PvP is absolutely fantastic, Grant. Absolutely fantastic. Grant, when was the last time you hung out with MCanning?
I've never met him in person. He is one of the few that I don't think he's traveled to any EU international events, at least not since I've been active as a commentator. I've never seen him at a Home Story Cup. God, can you imagine MCanning at a Home Story Cup?
Who would drink more than MCanning? Is there anybody?
I mean, I'm English, so me.
Okay.
Double adept again from MCanning, and I mean, I guess we should maybe go back to the opening. He did go 6 adepts, and he did find some damage, killed all the sentries, took the momentum away from his opponent. Stargate going down for MCanning this game, right in the face of his opponent.
I love it. The confidence, Grant, to drop that tier 2 tech and say, no, you can scout me, go ahead. You can scout me, go ahead. You can't beat it no matter what you see. I appreciate the confidence. Now, Grant, you play a lot of PvP. You are a Protoss,
just a little bit.
Masters level player yourself. You see a Stargate going down your opponent's base. What do you got to do now to prep for it?
Not really nothing, to be honest with you, because it is so standard at this point. You might want to throw a battery down. He does have that pylon by his mineral line, just in case there is going to be some oracles coming in, but mainly you just focus on gearing for your own tech. We've seen some late Stargates in the NA region coming in off the back of a Nexus, but usually if a tech is this late as Twilight Council, and when you've seen the Stargate, you know there's no proxies. You can just be confident to play it out, to be honest, get a third base. It takes a long time for Stargates to hit critical mass where they can really punish you. And in fact, was the Stargate cancelled? Oh, he's a cheeky boy.
MCanning, I love it. Showing your hand and then palming that ace of spades right up into your sleeve and replacing it with the 3 of clubs that you actually need to finish your straight flush. Beautifully done by MCanning there. Astrea's going to get back in and go, you son of a... Darn it, how could you possibly do that? Because I don't think Astrea curses that much. Adepts, though, in the middle of the map are going to get caught here. Adept Shade's out for MCanning. He cancels. Astrea barely escapes. And Astrea's Twilight Council now, Grant, going to be significantly ahead of MCanning. So that's great for Astrea.
Yeah, MCanning's going to have a lot of Adepts on the field right now. He's got 7 once again, and there's this time there's not quite as many Colossus from Astrea, so this is still a little scary here. As the forces head across to the either side of the map, as long as both players are ready to pile on wall, and actually right now MCanning is not ready to pile on wall. He certainly should keep 1 probe back here, because he is aware that there is a couple of Adepts on the map, but here we go, the Shade into the natural once again. No workers here. Pylon will go up in the main, or Gateway will go up in the main, and MCanning happy to just contain. Meanwhile though, oh, this is bad. This is really bad.
Yeah, this is a case of diminishing returns. You know, 2 Adepts can get so much damage done because, of course, they one-shot those probes, whereas 6, 7, 8 Adepts usually can't get like probes. 4 times the pressure. So 6 probes down, it'll be 7 or 8 before these Adepts are taken care of. And Grant, this is looking really, really rough. An awful start for MCanning, down 25 workers to 34 at the end of all things. Yikes.
Yeah, doesn't lose any of his sentries, but 2 Adepts for 9 workers. You take that trade every day. MCanning is now kind of the player that needs to find damage, but there has just been a big worker transfer down to the natural here. And if MCanning scouts that, he might try to commit. He's going to go for this. I think he'll throw the... Okay, maybe not. I really thought he might commit at that point and just make units at home, because if he'd have killed 8, 9, 10 workers himself, he would have lost the Adepts, or lost at least a good chunk of the Adepts. No, he's probably made the right decision there, so he doesn't just die to a counter push. But interesting game so far. MCanning has gone Robotech. There is no Twilight Council yet for the can, and he's going to go in once again. Just keep an eye on things, make sure there's no Immortals or anything like that with the army. Blink finishing off for Astrea should be the first trigger of an attack here from our Blue Protoss player, and there's not a lot here for MCanning. First Immortal is on the way.
Yeah, this is very, very dangerous, though. Holding that zone like a watchtower is nice for MCanning because he sees the Stalkers coming before he wants to. And I think this is intentional by Astrea to draw the Adepts out as we can blink on top of them exactly. Yeah, the Shade not available yet. This is a really, really nice play by Astrea. He's going to get 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 Adepts, which is going to drive MCanning's army way, way below where it needs to be. Astrea now has Blink Stalkers, and he's starting his charge for Zealots behind this, so he's not committing completely to a Blink Stalker attack, but he should be able to put some decent pressure here on the naturals. He may be able to pick off an Immortal or even a shield battery.
Yeah, if he can get even some sentries, that'd be nice. We do see that hallucinated Immortal coming in, and that is actually going to be enough to dissuade here our Blue Protoss player. Just kidding, he's going into the main. Now, there is no sentry to force fit or anything like that. A pylon will go down. I'm powering a lot of this. Probes pulled off the line. A lot of them will probably die as well. There is a possibility that the upgrade is sniped here, and that would be a big loss. Okay, it is going to be okay. Recall coming in here. 1 Stalker goes down, but a good attack there for Astrea.
Beautiful trade, Grant. Astrea looks really solid there. Picking off 5 probes for the cost of, 1 Stalker, but more importantly, of course, slowing down those gateways, depowering the cyber core. Not that matters too much. And scaring MCanning, I think, quite a bit there. MCanning knows he's a bit behind this game due to the early worker damage he took, and his third base can be slightly behind Astrea's as well. Astrea ahead on the charge, ahead on the blink, ahead on the gateway count, and just barely behind on the upgrades, but not enough where I think it's going to really matter.
Yeah, Astrea certainly ahead in this game at this point in time. He's adding all his extra tech and things as well. Up 5 workers is pretty substantial at this point. Hallucinated Phoenix will go in and see the army, and I'll mess up the camera there. The Immortal count is going to favor MCanning for a while, and that should make him safe against all of these Stalkers and things. This Adept, unfortunately, is not long for this world. Goodbye, my friend. And blinks into the main should be scouted relatively fine. He's going to move up, actually. This is kind of a fake blink into the main. We do have an Adept going in. I don't think it found any damage there. Did kill 1 probe, and I actually think Astrea killed one of their own Stalkers there. Or at least hit it.
He definitely may have. What's really interesting, Grant, is actually Astrea's had the Robo for a while now, but he hasn't built a single Immortal this entire game. Instead, opting for a Templar Archives and giving a Blink Stalker Archon instead. Robo Bay either. MCanning, of course, building up 5 more gates to bring himself up to 8 gates, but Astrea has been on 7-8 gates for quite some time now, and the army supply is going to reflect that investiture from Astrea. Even though he has his 3rd base down, he hasn't been chronoing out workers quite as consistently as MCanning has, and now Astrea finds himself in a fairly decent position. If he can get some good shots off of these Immortals, maybe pick 1 or 2 off and find a good angle for attack, he's going to have a really good opportunity to spread MCanning forces really thin and force him to dig out of a very deep hole.
Another 4-stalker blink into the main is going to force MCanning. He actually is just going to recall a couple of Immortals to deal with this, but more damage taken, and that's annoying for the sake of, I mean, that's just Sentry energy. That's all that costs. We are going to see an Adept even go down on the flip side, so very annoying here. Meanwhile, in the front, it does look like MCanning probably has enough with the Immortal, as long as this Stalker comes to play, and these guys maybe as well. This shouldn't be too bad in terms of defense, but Astrea is pulling ahead in this game. There's no other way to put it. Blink back there, some Charge Zealots going to continue to chase these 4 Stalkers, though, continuing to pose a little bit of a risk. We do have a Prism out for MCanning. It's going to keep track of them. No. Actually, it's going to fly over them. Oh, that's a loss that MCanning really can't afford at this point in the game. Stalker's now blinking away, but MCanning is kind of struggling. He does have an upgrade lead, but he hasn't started +3. He is moving in, though, to his Hail Mary, and that is going to be Disrupt Tech.
No surprises here, of course. MCanning falls back on the tools with which he is most familiar, as do we all, Grant. In MCanning's case, of course, Blinkstalker Disruptor is hard to go wrong. Unfortunately, Astrea has been surgically picking apart his army. I don't know if you noticed that attack at the 12 o'clock base. Astrea was actually picking off sentries one at a time. He was diving very, very deep, and traded away something like 3 Stalkers for 3 Sentries there, which normally would be like, oh, I don't know if that's really worth it. But the gas that MCanning is forced to expend on the Sentries, and then again on the Warp Prism, is going to really start adding up. You can see nobody able to build up a big bank. MCanning 60 supply behind his opponent. That's all in army supply.
That's a huge amount of supply as well. I've said it before and I'll probably say it again. Disruptors are the one unit in PvP. There are very few, but Disruptors are really the one that can turn the tide of a game. Blink DTs are kind of the other, or just DTs generally. But Disruptors, even if you're very behind, can bring you back in a game, but it has to be magical. It has to be the kind of one that makes you feel a little bit sick afterwards. There are a lot of Zealots in this army, and they are a lot of the supply. Of course, that means they are very vulnerable to Disruptor shots, and the first Disruptors are now out on the field. One has joined the army. These rocks are going to be taken down, and MCanning just needs to get as many units as he can on the field right now.
Yeah, he doesn't have too much to protect these Disruptors at all. Again, he's got the Immortals, as you've said before, and you and I have both been harping on the value of Immortals in PvP, especially over the last couple series, but unfortunately, only 2 or 3 Immortals in this pack, 3 Immortals in the pack and 2 Archons. But with the Sim City that's been built here, if MCanning decides to take this fight, he can be trapped in a very narrow space right now, and oh my god, this is disgusting. A huge Zealot flank going up the north side, unspotted by MCanning right now. Astrea's going to dodge the first Disruptor ball and head in on both sides for the flank.
Yeah, I mean, there's just not enough red Protoss here to deal with this. Photon Overcharge comes out. First Disruptor shot is barely acceptable. And unfortunately, that is going to be that. The Disruptor's not getting what they need to get. And that will be the end of Game 2. We get to go to a map 3, though, most excitingly. Creighton GG is called. And Astrea evens up the series.
That's right, Grant. Some people want MCanning to win. Some people want Astrea to win. And I just want the fans at home to win. And we have already won, Grant, with not only an exceptional Game 1 and 2, but a Game 3 that we're going to get treated to here. So MCanning really struggled that game. Astrea just seemed to be slightly ahead over and over again. Did it all start with those Adepts getting into his main and killing off about 7 workers?
Yeah, I think it was more than 7. I think it was like 9, which is too many. That's simply it. He had a load of Adepts. He didn't defend against Adepts. 1 probe next to the gateway, thrown down a pylon, and that was a very different game that probably goes considerably longer. But you just can't come back from that kind of damage in PvP. It happens to every player. I've seen even the top tier players let 2 Adepts in and get ruined. So that's a bit of a shame. But I'm sure that's the kind of mistake you probably only make once in a tournament. I don't want to jinx him and say that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think so as well. Sorry, just whispering something to our admin, iScar, who has been helping us out all day today. Beautiful. He's doing such a good job. Man, it does take a lot of the pressure off. I know, Grant, you're doing all the production from your bedroom over in the UK, but it's so nice to have at least one member of production helping us out by making these lobbies and stuff. It does make our lives so much easier.
Yeah,
Grant, we're going on to Lightshade LE for our third map of the day.
Yeah, we're sticking pretty standard across the board here, which is nice to see. I imagine this is going to be a few different, slightly different games. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask as well because Goblin's messaging me about Trigger.
Goblin EU is done, my man.
No, he's messaging me about Trigger because we're casting Trigger later, and that's his favorite player in the world. So he's telling me things I have to say during the cast.
Oh gosh. Yeah, we are covering Trigger later. Our fourth series today going to be Trigger versus Scarlet, which should be really exciting. Trigger, a young, exciting Protoss player against, of course, a grizzled veteran Zerg player. That'll be coming up at roughly 6 o'clock p.m. Central Daylight Time here in about 2 hours, give or take, depending on how long the rest of our games go. But that's our fourth game, Grant. We've got this series to finish up and 2 more in between before we get all the way down. And we're loading in now to Lightshade LE for our third series. Our third game of the series with MCanning and Astrea.
Our first player in the bottom right representing Alpha X. He is the man with the best name in all of StarCraft. It's the blue Protoss player Max Angel, Astrea.
And his opponent up in the top left-hand side, Twitch Sensation, representing the US of A and currently teamless. He is, of course, our red Protoss player, MCanning. What a PvP it's been. If you guys are just joining us, you have missed out on a lot. A 27-minute game one featuring a lot of tech switches, a lot of rotations, and ending up, of course, with some beautiful disruptor shots and fabulous multi-pronged harass from MCanning. Complete map control. Game 2, slightly shorter at about 12 minutes. Astrea doing a wonderful job keeping MCanning in check and getting just basically capitalizing on some mistakes from MCanning, getting some worker damage done, and coming out on top. This game 3, Grant, anything could happen.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Creighton. It's another good map for Blink Stalkers and Disruptors. Any map with a lot of ramps. Very nice, very punishing to push up against Disruptors because you can't see them at the top of the ramp. They almost always travel with observers in order to deny vision. And you don't have a lot of sentries for hallucinations at that point. So, openings once again very normal. I think I'd like to see MCanning move away from the 6 Adept opening. I don't think it's paid off massively in this series. We'll keep an eye on him to see if he does that. He's never got into the main. Astrea's not been transferring probes early. He did kill some sentries in map 1, which made it a barely even trade. It denied a lot of attack and slowed down the scouting of Astrea, but it's not what won him the game. So we'll keep an eye on this, see if he is going to go for the same opening. Astrea generally has been opening Stalker Sentry very, very safe. He did get a couple of Adepts as well, I believe, in the last game, but a little bit later. And, I mean, it's, as always, the calm before the storm.
Yeah, these early PvPs, there's not a whole lot to talk about, really, unless you get really excited about gas timings and stuff, which
that's very normal.
Not many folks do, yeah. Slight variations, though, as Astrea goes for double Stalker. Whereas we've got Stalker Sentry coming out for MCanning. Grant, when you're running an early PvP like this in your own sort of world, when you're doing a PvP, if you can get a bead on what your opponent's doing, so say you're Astrea, you're playing MCanning, you get the pylon down, you see that MCanning has gone for Stalker Sentry. What sort of reaction does that provoke from you?
I mean, if you see Stalker Sentry, you know you're very, very safe, right? It is, you know where the gas is being spent, most importantly. These are very expensive gas-heavy units, and it's nice to know where gas is going. You also know that there's nothing out on the map. If you're going Stalker Sentry, you just cannot afford to also have, like, a proxy Stargate, because you don't have the gas for it. There could still be a proxy gateway somewhere, but it is unlikely, because if you're doing that, you probably don't want the Sentry this early. So, Astrea will just feel comfortable to take his natural, as we see, to go up to his first tech choice, move towards a third base at about the 5-minute mark. As for MCanning seeing Stalker, you realize you do probably have to get a couple more Stalkers out yourself, and that's what he does. Tech choice is going to be the Stargate, and this time scouting is going to be trickier for Astrea, so I imagine this Stargate is here to stay.
I think so. It would be really funny if he canceled it again, but slightly less likely. This game. Both neck side down. Twilight Council out for Astrea, going to be spotted immediately by MCanning here. Very, very nicely done to get the scout off and see the Twilight Council. And now that you know the Blink Stalkers are a very real possibility, it means that your Oracle play probably not going to be quite as strong as you would have hoped maybe earlier.
Yeah, I mean, the risk right now, if you're MCanning, is, okay, this is a Twilight Council, what is behind it? Is it Blink? Is it DTs? They're really the only two major options here, or is it just standard into upgrades, things like that? It is going to be Blink. We are going to have an Oracle coming out from MCanning. That's going to give him a lot of control over this early game. Astrea comes in with a perfect scout, sees that it is a smaller Stargate unit, Oracle or Void Ray, being built here. Naturals finishing up across the board as well, and we see just a lot of work going in for both of these players to power up for the mid-game. Forges now finished for Astrea. No Forge just yet for MCanning, as he did, of course, go for that Stargate instead. Robo coming down as well in case there was a DT tech coming, and just to move forward with the tech tree here for MCanning. And yeah, it's a very standard Stargate versus Blink opening here.
Go for the second Oracle here, Grant.
No, he's probably not. Not with the
Robo down, you're not going to go for it. One Oracle just seems so easy to defend these days. I very rarely see one Oracle getting a lot of work done, you know?
I don't think it's here to get a lot of work done, to be honest. I think it's here to provide some information, to offer that constant risk of stasis wards. It's a great defensive. The Oracle is a good early siege unit, or a good early harass unit even, but it's a much better mid-game defensive utility unit.
Interesting. Void Ray on the way now.
Yeah, now this is spicy.
This is actually really spicy. Our first deviation from what I think would otherwise be a fairly standard build. And there's the second Stargate. So the Scouting Phoenix is actually not gonna get in here to see this, because oh my God, is he gonna get in to see it? He is gonna get in to see it. Yeah, the Scouting Phoenix barely gets on top and sees not only the Void Ray getting cranked out there of the first Stargate, but sees the second Stargate. That scout from Astrea cannot be overstated.
No, massive. He now knows what he is playing against, which is very important. He also knows he has some time, because it takes a while to hit critical mass of Void Rays. We see there's already one out. Getting even a couple of Stalkers early would be nice. That Blink comes out, only getting some shield damage in the end. Overcharge wasn't used on the Void Ray, though, so really force field energy for a Blink, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. We do see, of course, this is going to be a mass Void Ray build. We might see some Phoenixes added in, but I doubt it, and that is what Astrea is going to look for. Very quick Templar Archive. Skip the Robo here, because he knows it's going to be not the most useful. The most important thing in the world right now is going to be getting a lot of Archons, a lot of Blink Stalkers, and when I play against this, and I'm nowhere near on the caliber of these players, I really like to chrono out my +2, and that's exactly what we're seeing here from Astrea. I'm glad I'm almost a good player.
Well, if you're almost a good player, Grant, you're certainly a good caster, because you know what's coming up here. +2 from Astrea is going to be absolutely enormous. It's going to be huge. It's going to be Hero Marine sized, Grant, as it's going to make a big difference with those Stalkers coming out. Going to be so useful. Robo Bay now on the way from MCanning. Is he playing like Void Ray Disruptor?
Yes, old school. Very old school. Yeah. Void Ray Colossus was very big in like Wings of Liberty and early Heart of the Swarm. Void Ray Disruptor kind of offers the same thing. It's harder to micro, but I'm feeling a few lag spikes here. I'm not sure if you are. But it is a good army, especially if your opponent is playing mass Blink Stalkers. They blink forward to get the Void Rays, or blink to the side, or whatever. They use Blink to deal with Void Rays, and then Disruptors explodinate them. So this can be scary to deal with. We are seeing the hallucination coming in, getting another good scout, seeing that it is the Disruptor build here. He sees what is building in the back, and he should now start preparing himself. How you deal with this, I'm not certain. Probably with a lot of counter attacks. It's a very immobile army.
Yeah, and Astrea is obviously taking a huge advantage of that by building his fourth base very quickly, expanding all the way up the eastern seaboard of this map. Looking very nice for him. I like that he's at 72 workers to 59, and unless MCanning can find a way to really big damage done very quickly, he's going to be overwhelmed, I think, by Astrea's army. Now, the army supply differential is never going to be larger than it is right now, Grant. So if ever MCanning try and put pressure on the third or fourth base of Astrea, the time is nigh.
Yeah, this is a big scout here for MCanning. He's going to go in. He's going to see that the Stalkers were heading in this position. There's still a Stasis Ward, but one blinking Stalker. Remembering that Stasis Ward from earlier, that's what separates a good player from a great one. Seeing that Stasis Ward get dropped earlier with a hallucinated Phoenix and just blinking the one Stalker. Now, MCanning is continuing to hallucinate army to make himself look a little bit more intimidating. I think he does want to sit back a while longer and get his +1 air weapons and a few more Disruptors before he goes. But at this point, he is playing sort of a Turtle to Golden Armada and Disruptor style. And it can be scary. A lot of Blink Stalkers and Archons do break this down quite easily. You are vulnerable to counterattacks, so you have to expand very slowly. And Astrea now starting to go for the push. You can't push into super batteries. But if you can catch something here, if you can get a pick, it would be very big for Max Angel.
Yeah, definitely. Turtling to get to Golden Army, Golden Armada is a very dangerous position to put yourself in, though. Astrea can just expand, I was about to say, to a 5th base, and it's already down, Grant.
Yep.
Astrea just getting ready to put out the world's largest army. He needs about 2 War Prisms. He can put not only pressure on the main base with some Blink Stalkers up there, but also pressure with his main army down at the 3rd base of MCanning. And MCanning going to start to fall further and further behind here. I know his army is going to be great, but Astrea is going to start banking up a ton here, and it could be very, very terrifying. By the way, Mazel Tov to everyone in chat who's apparently having babies. It looks like a huge boom of StarCraft babies being born in chat right now. Congratulations to all of you. Please name them after me.
Like, is this a serious thing, or is MCanning the dad to every one of them?
No, there's a copy pasta right now, Grant, that says everyone's in the hospital with someone who's currently in labor, and they don't want us to curse because they don't want the baby's ears to be tainted.
Oh, well, congratulations to the baby. Unfortunately, I am going to curse some English. It's what we do. Big push coming in here. Lots and lots of zealots. They can be difficult to deal with. Void Rays don't kill zealots that quickly. It takes a long time for them to switch targets. And we are going to see this push back for now because the Void Ray number is very large. If they walk into Archons, though, they will melt. In terms of upgrades right now, let's take a look. It is +2 weapons, +1 armor. That is ground for Astrea to plus absolutely bugger all here for MCanning. He is working on his +1 air weapons that has just completed as I'm speaking. That will make this army a little bit stronger. Disruptor there as well, catching an Archon. Every Archon he gets is big. They are expensive units, but we have a big counterattack in the main here.
There it is, the blink up into the main that we talked about earlier. The War Prism here to support as well. Luckily, the Zealot sets off the stasis trap. Of course, the War Prism has to get out of there to save itself from the Void Rays. But MCanning seemingly slow to respond. That's because he's trying to drive away this army outside of his natural and 3rd base as well. This is great damage, though, from Astrea, who's causing a lot of consternation and splitting up the already slightly weakened army of MCanning. MCanning has good army supply, but Grant, it's all in those Void Rays right now. And if they're all in one place, his army is about even with Astrea's, and with the upgrades, it's definitely not going to win.
Yeah, like I said, though, here with Lightshade, it's very difficult to push up a ramp into disruptors. Almost impossible. You just don't have the vision up onto the high ground, Anakin, and that means you're going to be in some trouble. Especially with stasis wards everywhere, which is what MCanning's been doing, as I said. But that first Oracle, he made, I think, just the one, and it's the initial Oracle from the beginning of the game. And all it's doing here is dropping stasis wards as a utility unit. MCanning, he needs to get to a position where he can have a 4th base. As I said, he has to expand slow because he can't move to deal with counterattack. So he has to kind of just go one base at a time, build up his army. What's terrifying is he is getting close to being maxed. And once he's maxed and he gets +2 air and the Golden Armada kicks in, it's going to be extremely difficult for Astrea to play catch up. He is getting air weapons. He's going into Phoenixes. Oh my god, when did this happen?
I was just about to say, Grant, you've been too focused on the action down at the south side of the map right now, but there are currently 5 Stargates hidden at the top side there for Astrea, who's also got his fleet vacant, and he is going for the absolute hard counter to Golden Armada, Grant, which is Mass Phoenix with that Anion Pulse Crystals upgrade. Now, for those of you who might... Oh, nice stasis board there, grabbing a couple Archons. It's very beautiful. This is a chance for MCanning, son of MCanning, to show his worth. This is really great. Anyway, Astrea is getting the hard counter to a Golden Armada army, which is, of course, 6 Phoenix at a time with those Anion Pulse Crystals. And for those of you who don't know, Anion Pulse Crystals is the Phoenix upgrade, and granted, does 2 very important things. First and foremost, it expands the range of your Phoenix, but most importantly, Grant, it turns your Phoenix from blue lasers into purple lasers, and that's just so much cooler.
Yeah, definitely. Way cooler. So a few units going down here, those stasis ward units will fall. That's a pretty big pickup to catch any Archons and things like that, but the Phoenixes will be coming in pretty soon, and until the carriers get unmasked, it's going to be difficult to deal with them. There are so many Phoenixes created. There are 18 on the map. MCanning must be thinking, where's the bloody army? Well, it's up here, and it's making its way downtown. +2 air weapons has finished for our red Protoss player. Our blue has only just started it. So these aren't the strongest Phoenixes in the world, but there's no armor upgrades at all on MCanning's army. So what MCanning has is kind of a glass cannon, and he needs to win, and here come the Phoenixes.
And he just used all of his chonky beams as well. The Phoenix here, they're going to start picking off the interceptors one by one because, of course, the interceptors can't get back to the carrier in time. First carrier gets focus fire down here, but the Void Ray is doing a nice focus fire. But take a look at the unit counting station as this battle goes on, Grant. The Phoenix all glomming up together, so it's impossible to target fire. And this is really great control from Astrea, who's picking off left and right some of the units of MCanning here. And now MCanning knows that he's in a lot of trouble. MCanning still getting a better trade than Astrea is, but Astrea winnowing down this army just a little bit to take advantage of the fact that he has a much larger economy.
Yeah, a lot of the Phoenixes are starting to fall down though, and the Void Rays still generally don't seem too strong. The Phoenixes are mainly targeting Interceptors, and all of these Void Rays are a little beat up, but they've not been single targeted down, and that means, thanks to the stacking here, that they are able to take the trade pretty favorably in the end. This, though, not so good, as we see a bunch of Disruptors getting caught. The air army of MCanning needs to come back in order to support this. There are, like, no Interceptors here at all. Once the carrier numbers get to 6, this is a slightly different scenario, but the kiting potential of these Phoenixes is terrifying. They're just going to whittle away at this army, and MCanning, although he does have Flux Veins and is able to move out a little bit quicker, he is losing important units here. He's down in supply. His army isn't great. Second carrier arriving. We're going to see the recall. I don't hate this by any means, but this carrier, goodbye, my friend.
Couple of losses there for MCanning. Really significant stuff there. 3 carriers this game going to be picked off. And as you said, Grant, carriers really aren't that scary when they're in small numbers. Make that 4 carriers going to get picked off.
Big.
Carriers really aren't that scary when they're in small numbers, and not able to get up to about 6, 7, 8 carriers is going to be terrifyingly bad here for MCanning. That poor Disruptor has been trapped. That poor Disruptor has been trapped in that little area the entire game. It was misrallied early in the game, but this is a great move from Astrea, and I really like it.
Just one hero immortal managing to take down some of the units, but Astrea is on top of the production right now. The whole air army has to come up. It also has to wait for a couple of carriers to pop out, probably at the same time. I wouldn't be surprised to see them cancelled as they're getting close to completion here. There's just not enough here. There's nowhere near enough MCanning. He's down 64 to 111 army supply, and Astrea has just absolutely bamboozled MCanning with this hidden Stargate. Hidden Stargate, singular. With 6 hidden Stargates, and now just like this, it looks like this is going to be all over. There is an Archon underneath. He's doing a lot of damage, but he's got no upgrades.
It's disgusting when you can park all of your Phoenix over the top of an Immortal and not, or the top of an Immortal and not care about it, or